Lions urged to sign Cowboys starter who plays a physical brand of football. Matt Holder of Bleacher Report is suggesting the Detroit Lions sign a Dallas Cowboys defensive end during 2025 free agency. While the Detroit Lions had a good game against the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday, September 22, notching a 20-13 victory on the road, there's always room for improvement. As the team heads into a highly anticipated Week 4 Monday Night Football matchup against the Seattle Seahawks, NFL expert and analyst Matt Holder is pointing out a Dallas Cowboys player who he says could be a good fit with Lions head coach Dan Campbell's coaching strategy. In a September 23 Bleacher Report article about prioritizing every roster's biggest weaknesses heading into Week 4, Holder suggests the Lions bring on Cowboys defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence in 2025 free agency. While Lawrence's sack numbers have gone down in recent years, he's an edge setter and plays the physical brand of football that Dan Campbell covets, he stated. DeMarcus Lawrence could ensure Aiden Hutchinson has some help. Lawrence, 32, earned a 92.4 run defense grade from Pro Football Focus last season. As a pass rusher, he had 48 total pressures in 2023. In the piece, Holder stated that Marcus Davenport is only on a one-year deal, and it remains to be seen if he should be given a contract extension in the offseason. In the meantime, Detroit should be doing its homework on this year's free agent pool at defensive end to ensure Aiden Hutchinson has some help moving forward. That's not to mention that Davenport suffered a season-ending triceps injury in the Cardinals' win, which Campbell confirmed in his Monday, September 23, press conference. Davenport was also placed on injury reserve on Tuesday, September 24. Elsewhere in the article, Holder noted the competitive nature of the NFC North. During Detroit's win over Arizona, the team ran a total of 43 times for 187 yards, which helps the Lions keep pace with the Packers in the NFC North, but they still trail the surprisingly undefeated Vikings for the early lead. Holder also named the Lions' biggest weaknesses going into Week 4 as cornerback, offensive line depth, wide receiver, linebacker, and defensive tackle. For immediate help, Holder suggested Detroit trade for Buffalo Bills cornerback and former first-round pick Kaiir Elam, who Holder says has plenty of talent to potentially contribute right away and be part of the long-term solution at corner. DeMarcus Lawrence talks Cowboys loss. For now, Lawrence, of course, is with the Cowboys. The team is 1-2 going into Week 4, following their loss to the Ravens in Week 3. Of course, it's frustrating, he said after the Ravens' loss. If you don't love the game, it won't be frustrating. I know the men in this room love the game. That's why you've seen the difference in the second of cleaning up our mistakes in the first half. When asked specifically what's frustrating, he said, the losing. Not having our stuff together on defense where we're playing 11-man football, Lawrence said. It's all frustrating. Having a game plan but not following the game plan. Once we get out of playing Little League football and get back to playing pro football, we'll be all right. The Detroit Lions will come face-to-face with Lawrence when they take on the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday, October 13, at AT&T Stadium. Cowboys on thin ice after horrendous 1-2 start. These Dallas Cowboys players are on thin ice following the franchise's embarrassing 1-2 start to the 2024 NFL season. Heading into the 2024 NFL season, the Dallas Cowboys were often pegged as potential Super Bowl contenders. After all, the Cowboys have been one of the better teams on both sides of the ball in recent years, and owner Jerry Jones promised that the franchise would be going all in to finally end the lengthening championship drought. Fast forward to now with Dallas heading into Week 4 with an embarrassing 1-2 record following Sunday's 28-25 loss to the Baltimore Ravens. Several Cowboys have played a role in the team's recent struggles, leaving their job security up in the air as the season progresses. Here are Cowboys who are skating on thin ice following a disastrous 1-2 start to the 2024 season. 1. Mike McCarthy, HC. Anyone who's donned the Cowboys logo knows what it's like to feel a lot of pressure. head coach Mike McCarthy is facing more pressure than anyone as the current campaign marks the final year remaining on the contract he signed in 2020. Everybody familiar with McCarthy knows that he's brought plenty of regular season success to Dallas. Only the Kansas City Chiefs' Andy Reid, 40, and Buffalo Bills' Sean McDermott, 38, have more wins than McCarthy, 37, since the start of the 2021 season. Having said that, the issue is that the Cowboys only own one playoff victory during that stretch. Unfortunately, McCarthy isn't experiencing his usual level of success during the current regular season. The Cowboys' struggles in the run game, both offensively and defensively, have resulted in back-to-back losses, and it remains to be seen if the 60-year-old bench boss can turn things around in time for America's team to make the playoffs. If McCarthy can't turn the ship around or the Cowboys suffer another early postseason exit, chances are that his time in Dallas will be over. As good as he can be in the regular season, all head coaches eventually run their course. One of the biggest stories of the Cowboys' offseason was the return of Ezekiel Elliott. That's mostly because Jones and company largely neglected big-name free agents, instead choosing to sign veterans like the 29-year-old running back to cheap one-year contracts. Anybody who followed Elliott's 2023 performance with the New England Patriots knew that the Cowboys weren't getting his prime version. The ex-Ohio State RB's play declined for the second straight year as he finished with new career lows in rushing yards, 642, and total touchdowns, 5. Unsurprisingly, Elliott's regression has followed him into the 2024 season. He's barely made an impact on offense through 3 games, turning 19 carries into 62 rushing yards with a touchdown. If that isn't bad enough, Pro Football Focus has given him a run grade of 50.4, the third worst mark among 45 eligible RBs. If Elliott continues at his current pace, he's projected to finish the year with a 107-352-6 stat line, which would be a personal worst output. In other words, he better figure out how to turn things around before the Cowboys choose to replace him as the RB1. Dak Prescott currently paces the NFL in passing yards, however, the Cowboys' aerial attack has left much to be desired. A big part of that reason has to do with lackluster performances from wideouts Brandon Cooks and Jalen Brooks. It's only been downhill for Cooks since he tallied 40 receiving yards and a touchdown in the Cowboys' Week 1 victory over the Cleveland Browns. In the 2 subsequent games, the former Oregon State receiver has caught just 4 of 8 targets, 50%, for 35 receiving yards without a TD. Considering how he carries a $10 million cap hit this season, it's easy to be frustrated by his uninspiring production. Meanwhile, some Cowboys fans who hope to see Brooks take his game to the next level have been left disappointed. The former 2023 seventh-rounder has only come down with 3 of his 7 targets, 42.9%, for 52 yards with a 29.2 passer rating when targeted. That just won't cut it for someone who's supposed to be Dallas number 4 WR. If the Cowboys' passing game is going to scare opposing defenses, Cooks and Brooks must figure out how to get rolling again. Prescott and CeeDee Lamb can only do so much on their own, so let's hope the turnaround happens sooner rather than later. The Dallas Cowboys are certainly not in the position that they hoped they would be after 3 weeks into the 2024 NFL regular season. They are currently 1-2 and in last place in the NFC East following their 28-25 loss to the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday afternoon. While there is plenty of season left and a great deal of talent on their roster, it is clear what the team's biggest weakness is on offense: running back. In their loss to Baltimore, the Cowboys mustered just 51 rushing yards, led by Rico Dowdle's 32 yards on 8 carries. It was not just a one-game thing either. Through 3 weeks, Dallas ranks 29th in rushing offense with just 73.7 yards per game. Only the Cincinnati Bengals, Chicago Bears, and Las Vegas Raiders are worse. After the loss to Baltimore, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones was asked why the team did not pursue running back Derrick Henry in free agency. Henry signed with the Ravens during the offseason and torched Dallas for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns on 25 carries. "We could not afford Derrick Henry," Jones said in his reply. This statement caused a great deal of criticism to be thrown his way on social media. Henry signed a 2-year $16 million contract with Baltimore, with $9 million guaranteed. Even before the Cowboys gave massive extensions to Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, they had the cap space to afford that kind of contract. The fact of the matter is that they did not want to spend that kind of money on a running back, and now they are realizing the consequences of that decision. As the season has already started, the Cowboys are extremely limited in how they can improve their running back room. They already signed free agent Dalvin Cook, but he has yet to be promoted from their practice squad. In short, Dallas may have to wait until next offseason to improve the running back position on their roster, and one NFL analyst knows exactly who they should pursue: former Green Bay Packers and current Minnesota Vikings running back Aaron Jones. A recent article posted on Bleacher Report states, Ezekiel Elliott's and Rico Dowdle's contracts are set to expire at the end of the season, leaving Dallas with a need for running backs. Even if one of them gets retained, the offense could still use a dynamic option out of the backfield, seeing as Deuce Vaughn hasn't gotten much playing time. Jones could be that option, seeing as he has roughly 280 catches for about 2,100 receiving yards in his career. While the 29-year-old, who turns 30 in December, won't have a long tenure with the club, that will also help keep his price tag down, especially if it means playing for a potential Super Bowl contender. The Packers released Jones during the offseason after he refused to take a pay cut to remain with the team. They felt that they had a suitable replacement for him anyway after signing Josh Jacobs in free agency. Jones signed with Green Bay's division rival, the Vikings, and has experienced a high level of success so far this season. He currently has 228 rushing yards and is averaging 5.4 yards per carry through 3 games. Jones has 1 rushing touchdown and 1 receiving touchdown so far this year. The former Packers running back is also very familiar with Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy, who was his coach in Green Bay for the first 2 seasons of his career. Of course, there is no guarantee that McCarthy will be back in Dallas next year if the team continues to struggle.